Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the panel for being here. Listening to senators earlier, I was interested to hear a lot of violent agreement, as you've mentioned, from two senators in a body that has extremely violent disagreement on actually doing something. And I'm reminded that we're coming up on the third anniversary of the stimulus that expanded government, that really did not produce an economy that would grow. I look at a little card here that I have that lists a number of things to deal with regulatory barriers that come from government, and a significant number of bills that we've passed, including the REINS Act and other regulatory accountability for reforms that still sit in the Senate, not acted upon. So while I'm not asking you as a panel of senators on how we should accomplish this, I have appreciated some of the statements that you have made in your opening remarks. Dr. Light, I was raised in the home of a machinist who was also extreme conservative and always thought that he could rebuild his cars and engines much better and more efficiently than taking it to a mechanic. And so in the grease pit that he built in our family garage, I watched him do that and then became a gearhead myself and have had engines, both light tune-ups as well as rebuilds, taking the whole engine out of the car as well when I had to. I know also that in process of grinding valves, that's a fine process, taken carefully, as opposed to wrenching out the bottom end of an engine and taking out the crankshaft and replacing it. I was interested in your background on that as you discussed what needs to be done with bureaucracy. And so I'd like to ask you if you would discuss a bit further and in detail your proposals to overhaul the bureaucracy, including removing engine parts as necessary.
Well, I know how to tune and set the timing on a '57 Chevy, but that's not how we do it now, is it?
That's right. We don't have the points anymore.
You know, I think to continue this metaphor, the first thing you do is drain the oil and clean out the sludge, and that's something we got to do. I agree with my colleagues that it's difficult, and there's a lot of conversation about rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic, but we've got a real opportunity here. We've got about 50% of the Federal workforce moving towards retirement, and that can be seen as a problem, or that can be seen as an opportunity. We've got a lot of opportunity here to take a look at what we've got, and instead of downsizing through attrition at the bottom or reductions in force, we can take a look at jobs and not fill them as they've been exited. We can take a look at the structure of government and reorganize, but we're going to have to go big. We're going to have to take a look at the whole structure. And this opportunity is going to slip through our fingers, and 10 years from now, we're going to have the same government that we have right now. I'm all in favor of patience, but when an opportunity like this comes along, you take advantage of it. Now, how do we do that? I'm not wild about another Hoover Commission. I'm not sure we could do it with the current structure of Congress, and I'm not sure that the President could relay the reorganization plans. I do like the idea of creating some sort of government reform trust modeled on the Resolution Trust Corporation, to which we would give responsibility for collecting the delinquent taxes, collecting the bad loans, collecting and dealing liquidating the useless property that we have and collecting the money from doing so. We've got some cherry picking that we can do that can yield big dollar returns if we just invest in it and give somebody the authority to do it. And then we've got to actually delayer the government. We've got to take some things off and streamline the block, if you will.
Well, let me follow up on that and ask maybe across the panel if you'd care to comment. Does the Constitution, and as one witness in a hearing last week said, the constitutional niceties, I disagree with that. I think there's some authority in the Constitution. Does that come into play in dealing with the size of government,
well,
in your minds?
Well, I'll just quickly say that the Constitution is quite clear that the executive is to faithfully execute the laws. And Hamilton, a particular proponent of a well-functioning government, argued that the jarrings of parties that we see on Capitol Hill, the intense conflict, is important for protecting the public from tyranny. But once the laws are passed, the President is to execute, period, end of story. And the President has authorities properly checked by this institution, and we can figure out ways to get this done and get it done in a timely fashion without wasting this opportunity that we have. We can figure this out. You are capable of doing it, and you've done it already.